Hello everyone, the sociologist here. Welcome to my YouTube channel. It has been a while that I made an English video. I usually make videos in Turkish about American culture so that my Turkish American friends have an easy transition period in the United States. But due to the importance of certain topics, a couple of my English speaking American friends, they encouraged me to make my latest video about anti-Semitism in English as well. So here I am. I will briefly talk about the brief history of anti-Semitism and why it is wrong, and I will encourage everyone to get rid of their anti-Semitic feelings. Of course, it's a very hard task to do, but still, one effort at a time, I think we can overcome hatred and those kind of things. Anti-Semitism, as the name suggests, is the hostility or hatred towards Jewish people. And I don't want to say Jew because a friend of mine once warned me that the word Jew sometimes can be offensive to the Jewish community. It was usually used by during the Nazi propaganda years, especially in Germany. So the word Jew is usually considered offensive, even though some think tanks or research institutions like Pew Research Center, they use the term Jew, but of course, probably they use it for the sake of practical reasons. So, but I'll do my best to honor my friend's request, and I will only say Jewish as much as possible. Anti-Semitism, like I said, is hatred, but at the same time, this hatred is not something new. It didn't start with Hitler. Unfortunately, it might have been culminated with Hitler, but unfortunately, hatred towards the Jews has historical roots way before Christianity. But even after Christianity, some Christians blamed the Jewish community for the crucifixion of Jesus. So as a result, there has been some hatred. There used to be an explicit hatred among the Christian community at the earliest times, and this hatred unfortunately continued until the 20th century, mid-20th century, and it culminated with the Second World War during the Hitler regime. In the United States, the Jewish population came to the United States at different times. Before United States became an independent nation, even at the colonial period, there were Jewish people coming in certain numbers. But unfortunately, many colonies didn't accept the Jewish population. But New Amsterdam was pretty much liberal. So currently New York, of course. So the Dutch people in that colony, they accepted the Jewish to their colony, and as a result, the Jewish people, they settled in what we call currently New York area. And after that, late 1890s, and then maybe sometimes after that, because of the pogrom, which was a kind of ethnic cleansing, which took place before Holocaust happened, especially in Eastern Europe and in Russia. Big numbers of Jewish people came from Russia area as well. But of course, it culminated with the horrible, tragic event of Holocaust, and many Jewish people came to the United States at the time as well. And the hatred in the United States against all minorities, starting with racial minorities, other religious minorities like Catholics and others, they continued. If you are other in the United States, you really had a hard time at certain periods of time. 150 years ago, almost, Catholics weren't treated well, and like 50, 60 years ago, the Jewish weren't treated well, And right now, unfortunately, in the eyes of some people, Muslims became the other. And as a Turkish American who were born in a Muslim majority country, I always thought that anti-Semitism or the hatred towards the Jewish people is something gone. It is not prevalent anymore. It was just probably taking place in historical documents, like here you see that on the right it says Jews not allowed, and on the left in French it says Jewish danger, and then we see a Nazi propaganda movie poster which says the eternal Jew, and it's a Nazi propaganda, and it shows the Jewish community, like they try to demonize the Jewish community here, as we can see. So I thought this was just anti-Semitism was something that we can only read in the textbooks or in encyclopedias, but it turned out after the recent shooting in Pittsburgh, unfortunately, where we lost 10 Jewish sisters and brothers, unfortunately, it reminded us the fact that anti-Semitism is alive and it's still going in some parts full throttle. And to back it up, my argument with some data, I'll show you some hate crime statistics from 2017. As you can see here, this is FBI website. And in 2017 hate crime statistics, we see incidents, offenses, victims, and everything. And some of the incidents based on race, ethnicity, and ancestry, and then some of them are religion, which where I direct my focus. You see here that there were more than 1,700 victims of religion in 2017 of a hate crime, and 1,000 of them, a little bit more than 1,000 of them is anti-Jewish, and only 300 of them was anti-Islamic or anti-Muslim. And then again, in terms of single incidents, we have out of almost 1,500 incidents, we have close to 1,000 Jewish and then a little bit less than 300 Muslim, anti-Muslim or anti-Islamic incidents. So it tells us that almost this 3 times or 4 times difference between anti-Jewish versus anti-Islamic sentiments reminds us the fact that, unfortunately, anti-Semitism is still going full throttle in the United States. And sometimes I hear from a lot of different people, from other Muslim communities, or sometimes from my Turkish American friends as well, that they, even though they have never met a Jewish person in their lifetime, they still have stereotypical ideas about the Jewish people, like loving money a lot type of things, which basically no equivalency in real life. Because it's interesting that in NBA, before African American players were accepted, the Jewish players were the best players in the NBA, and people were explaining this phenomenon by saying that, hey, the Jewish they are very crafty, smart, so they just do tricky maneuvers and they just go between different players, so that's why they are pretty good basketball players. Were the explanation for such a ridiculous explanation were believed by many people. And people come to United States sometimes from some certain areas in the world with some anti-Semitic feelings in their baggages, which is not acceptable, because when you defend the horrible situation about the anti-Semitic feelings, when you are saying that anti-Semitism is something horrible, some people immediately point to Palestinian issue in Israel. And I think we should definitely make a differentiation between what Israeli government or Israeli state does and what ordinary just regular, normal Jewish people in their life go through. We should make a differentiation between them. Israeli government might have committed some mistakes, which I believe also the Palestinian might have committed some mistakes as well, in my opinion. But since I'm a sociologist, since I don't deal with political science issues, I think what matters here is that the daily lives of ordinary people, the daily lives of normal, regular, ordinary, and innocent Jewish people makes a lot of difference. And I have a lot of Jewish friends in my daily life. They are super good people. They just try to be a good Jewish. They just try to be a good human being. And they have developed beautiful relationships with people from other faiths and other racial or ethnic backgrounds. And I believe this is something we should concentrate instead of just one government policy. And I have, like I said, I have many friends like that. But unfortunately, in the world, you see here that I borrowed this from a friend of mine who works for ADL. He gave me a whole presentation, but I only want to show you guys because I didn't get his permission. So I want to show only one thing, one slide out of his unbelievably amazing presentation, that we see here in the world people, there are more than 1 billion people, the total number of individuals who harbor some anti-Semitic attitudes or feelings. This is unfortunately an unacceptable and horrible number. And we see here everywhere in the world, Middle East and North Africa, or Sub-Saharan Africa, Eastern Europe, Western Europe, the Americas, everywhere in the world, over 10% we see anti-Semitic feelings. And this is something unacceptable because the Jewish people contribute a great deal towards science, to the culture, to the economy, to the fine arts and everything. So a lot of Jewish scholars, they are getting Nobel Prizes in mathematics, in chemistry, physics, and in literature. Just like probably like 2 years ago, Bob Dylan, a famous musician, he became the first songwriter to get the Nobel Award, and he's a Jewish musician. And a lot of Jewish people are doing unbelievably beautiful contributions to the world. So I think without meeting a regular Jewish person in our lifetime, just because of daily politics, harboring some unacceptable feelings towards a certain group of people, and in our case, the Jewish people, is unacceptable. In my next video, I plan to talk about, based on a skit which talks about there are some Jewish stereotypical jokes in that skit, and based on those jokes, I will explain some of those ridiculous stereotypical approaches to Jewish people. And until next time, feel free to subscribe to my YouTube channel, and feel free to what you believe in the comment section, and hope to see you and hope to talk to you in my next video. Thank you.